Alright guys, there he is. But this isn't his video, that's for sure. But considering it's been a while since I've had so many people ask me about this guy, expect to see the video about him shortly after this one gets released. Yes, I'll talk specifically about Zane and my thoughts about him, and how you can actually use him if you choose to do so. But as with all banners and all new units, it's always a good idea to wait until the dust settles, and is it truly worth picking them up? That's all I'm gonna say. Go watch the Zane video after you watch this one, of course. What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you a brand new Fire Emblem Heroes video as usual. Today's video features our brand new Tempest Trials unit, which to my surprise is okay. Maybe that's like my sum of it. I wasn't expecting a 180 statted unit this early on. I totally expected like a flyer or a cav or like a dancer or something that didn't like reach the stat point so early on into the generation 5 of BST. Essentially, Ena is with a plus speed boon 180 stats, and that's huge because that's like equivalent to Flame Emperor already. It's 2700 grails once she hits the grail shop in December, but like that is impactful. That means like as someone, and I've actually been saving grails myself in anticipation of a unit like this being released, but it's really soon. In fact, it's really suspect. So maybe we should vote out Ena. Maybe. Anyways, I'm actually pretty okay with the release of this unit. It feels like a Garen of 2020 without the dragon immunity, but she does come with inheritable breath and decent fodder. So her stats are, again, feel very Garen-ish, where her res and defense are really high, speed is low, and attack is high, with the rest of the points in HP. Pretty standard stuff, honestly not much to say there. However, she comes with Pale Breath, and finally that's like an inheritable breath. Like we haven't had this since Water Breath. It's been a long time since we've had inheritable breaths. Every single dragon has like basically had a preference breath up until now, and that's pretty good if you ask me. So Pale Breath, to put it simply, is just Carrot Cudgel for breaths. It's simple as that. One thing to remember though is like Carrot Cudgel is a sword, whereas breaths are inheritable to any color dragon. So Pale Breath is huge because like you can give this to a blue dragon, a green dragon, or a colorless dragon, no problem, and they will use it as if anyone had Carrot Cudgel. And Carrot Cudgel is a good weapon, let's get that straight. Neutralizing penalties is huge, especially when you are stacking up those particular buffs and whatnot. It's a shame that it's attack defense as opposed to like attack speed or defense res, meaning like managing buffs and debuffs are easier that way when it is those, but attack defense is fine. Extra stats regardless of penalties is always nice. I mean, like if you get, sometimes you can't avoid debuffs in the case of like panic weapons or dagger debuffs, or maybe chill attack is hard to deal with. Like there's certain conditions where just having the ability to negate penalties is huge. The condition of being within 2 spaces of an ally is annoying because it kind of means like you need friends. You need friends nearby to really utilize this well. It doesn't have like the solo condition, at least. You just need to be like close to friends, and that's I appreciate that at least. So without further ado, let's look into some sample builds that I really feel that Ena can really make use of. So first thing is first, I'm going to talk about her usage in AR. Let me get this out of the way first. I don't feel like she's a great Astra unit, and that's primarily because of Thrasir's existence, and that Mira will still be really annoying to deal with. Plus, if you have Plumeria and Altina, you have like a triple red team, and not having that color variety could definitely be an issue. So if you want to use Ena, she's primarily best placed into Light Season, with Mila, Air, and Peony really complementing her strengths. You don't have to do much. You honestly, if you want to do like really good with Ena, then you can run that plus speed super boon. You can stack up her speed with like a speed refine, keep the Pale Breath, and honestly she can still, like, one of her best partners still ends up being Mila. And the reason for this is because the recent release of Hone Dragon Seal is nice. Like a +1 Mila with defense res link, and maybe like bumping up Milla's res, maybe with some merges, maybe swapping out the seal and whatnot. If you're feeling like she can't handle like the res, because you may not have a +10 Ena, but you can definitely make Milla soak Dark Shrine from Ena with a smite and a defense res link with Hone Dragons. You can essentially get Milla to single-handedly buff Ena, which is really nice. You can kind of do the same thing in Astra Season as well with Naga, although again, having so many melee units, like Aaron Peony is nice because they're ranged, whereas like having so many melee units with the exception of Plumeria is difficult to really recommend using Ena and Astra. And of course Thrasir really, like even if you're red, you're still going to get hit pretty hard by someone like Thrasir, and you can't easily compete with that speed. Whereas Ena benefiting from Nurturing Breath, Peony's speed, Flower of Joy, Speed Res Solo, Speed Refining Pale Breath, you actually get a serviceable speed stat out of Ena. It's a super boon, so it ends up being pretty good. Really nice stat spread overall. But again, AR is not really the place I would put her. You know, with considering how her stats are, the best place is no doubt going to be Arena. So I have a Water Breath build here, which you don't need to use. To be honest, I would honestly recommend the usage of Pale Breath if you wanted to. Pale Breath to neutralize penalties and secure kills might be more favorable than Water Breath. I like Water Breath because it gives the res, but it may not be needed. You can definitely just use Pale Breath here and use Heavy Blade. Now, the reason I recommend Heavy Blade is because if you give her Blue Flame, dragons only pretty much have two options for max scoring specials. I think it's Blue Flame and Ether, and Ether isn't that good because it's a 5 charge, but Blue Flame combined with Heavy Blade, as long as you make her meet those attack checks, ends up being good. So you do need a good combination of speed and attack. And if you are running the plus speed super boon, believe it or not, plus ally support and like a partner like Fjorm, 3 speed from Fjorm isn't considered here actually, but Fjorm is a good partner because she comes with innate drive attack. You can run that double spur possibly, or just a drive attack in general in the seal, or drive speed, joint drive speed being good too, running null follow-up so you beat impacts, and you actually have an Ena that beats out Crom as a red unit. Because remember, Crom has lower res than attack, than defense. So being able to hit his res stat is kind of huge, and by really making use of Blue Flame here, you can run Heavy Blade, and as long as you double him back, of course with null follow-up beating out impact, you will beat out most Croms. Not the super speedy Croms, but you'll actually beat out most Croms this way because you're hitting his weak point. And this also actually baits out Azura and Leaf. Azura having the color triangle advantage means that you can bait out Azura using Ena and likely meet the 5 damage rule for baiting her out. So Ena ends up being pretty good, like not bad at all. And Water Breath or Pale Breath, definitely the ones to go for when it comes to builds. This is max scoring, it's 180. This is basically better Flame Emperor at this point. Like I would much rather use this than Flame Emperor because you have some cool interactions here. Flame Emperor gets chunked by effectiveness. You probably don't want Ena to be used in Earth Season, I think, just because Julia, there's no way you beat Julia, okay? She can probably beat Alm, and in Fire Season, you have to kind of deal with some Marth and Roy, which could end up being a little bit more annoying to handle. She probably beats out Celica and Edelgard, but generally speaking, I think water is her place. Beating out the trifecta of dangers in water, not too bad. But just to like think about it a little bit more, you definitely could run something like a more solo build if you really are fearful of like Azura, you know, like Azura dances units and then they reach units that are adjacent. So you can still use like the 2 range buff of stuff like Joint Drive Attack, make use of the new solo seal which we got, Attack Defense Solo. Pale Breath still has its 2 range condition, but you're gonna want to use Ether instead of Blue Flame here because Blue Flame, of course, you need adjacent. So it ends up being a little bit more trickier in positioning with a build like this, but it's okay. I don't feel as strongly about this one as I would the one posted before because Blue Flame basically secures kills on stuff like Crom, as long as you buff her attack enough and her speed enough to double, which isn't that difficult running seals and buffs that just generally, not visible, but like in combat buffs, which should bump her over the Crom checks, believe it or not. Okay, and of course for more budget builds, I do think as budget as you can get. Let's say you don't have distant counter, but you have like some stances and such. The beauty of dragons is, of course, you can basically give her a lightning breath, and you have a distant counter unit this way. So it ends up being a pretty good arena unit. People who've been using Noe in the past, or Faye as like previous arena units back when they scored pretty well, will know what I'm talking about. Instead of having like distant counter lying around, this is not bad either. I definitely would say that a stance is ideal in the A slot, but you could get away with a solo as well, a solo 4, and then running solo in the seal. It makes it harder for positioning reasons, but still make use of what fodder you have, and you can use Lightning Breath and still get a good distant counter unit at 180 scoring, 180 BST. That is really impactful, and I'm really happy to see that. So if you want, you know, Ena gets the job done. With that being said, though, that's pretty much going to cover everything I have to say about Ena. For you guys who saved up Grails, this is definitely worth a pickup in the December update, or like, yeah, when December drops, we're going to have Ena there. So if you have 2,700 Grails to save, I will. And Tellius, of course. Like, I love Tellius, so Ena's an easy pickup for someone like me. Between Ashnard, Petrine, and Ena, it's like I'm being spoiled at this point. So this is awesome. I definitely need the score increase as a constant arena player, so I'm happy to see it, and I would recommend this to you guys as well if you feel like you need a little bit of a score increase for arena to pick up fruits and pick up the papers and feathers and orbs and whatnot. One thing that I'm very hesitant or skeptical about is it's kind of annoying how it's 176 and you need the speed super boon for scoring. This trend is likely to continue so that IS continues to like force people to spend fruits on new units that they want to use, as opposed to your old units that may want IV changes. So it's a good idea to hold on to your fruits, guys, and don't feel like you got to use them as you get them. Might be a good idea to hold them for a unit like this that comes out and you need to spend them. That's all I really got to say about this. As always, feel free to join the Twitch streams daily, except on Fridays. And hit up the Discord as well for further discussions. YouTube, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.